welcome to Proper Curious, the podcast for down-to-earth creatives. I'm Rachael.
And I'm Liana, and we're two sisters exploring the world through a curious lens in a quest to live more creatively.
So if you feel like that's you, grab a brew and join us. Hello and welcome to Proper Curious. Welcome back, welcome in, and you're joining us for this episode.
Hello. Sorry, it just sounded like a radio show. Hello and welcome back.
Hello and welcome back
to the show.
Yeah, sorry about that. Well, this episode will be called, as you already know, In Memoriam. However, as usual, I'm going to tell you a little bit. If you're new, welcome. Apologies for the chaotic approach, but go with it. Really, the point of this podcast was that we are going to explore experiences, artwork, little adventures, reflect on
topics, themes,
learn some new stuff, and then integrate that into our creativity.
Yeah.
And it was to help us to be more creative, but also to just expand ourselves because we love being curious. So
and we like chatting.
And we hope you'll join in. And we're quite rambly. Remember we were going to call it rambling.
Oh my God, I was looking at our Proper Curious potential podcast names. No, we were going to call it Cup of Curiosity.
Cup of Curiosity.
I don't
know.
Oh gosh.
Oh, it's a bit twin,
Bless us.
We usually start, don't we, by going over how we've been creative since the last episode. And the last episode was
Stained glass windows.
Why do we have to sing it like a jingle?
I don't know, because we're jazzy and interested.
So yeah, after that, I don't know about you, but I have had a dead period of creativity.
Well, this happens though, doesn't it? And I think
this does happen. And I've sat down quite a few times with my pen and my notebook, and I've been like, right. And I was thinking about that Saint Zita window in Luca and her body and how she was a servant girl, but then she was a saint. Narrative poem, come on. No, I just couldn't.
Sometimes you can't force it, can you?
Anyway, so where I went with it, then I was just like, I'm just going to do a doodle. And I was looking at this Folk Tales of Scotland book as retold by Noah and William Montgomery. Oh, I've never pronounced that in my life. It's a very beautiful book and it's very well known, and I don't know how to say the name. I was reading the very, very short story of the Storeworm because it's only 1.5 pages, and that's all really I could be bothered to read. So the Storeworm is spelled Stoor. If you want to read it, it's basically about this massive sea creature that was eating everybody. So they made a deal.
Yeah, wasn't he in all of the maidens or something?
No, so they agreed that they would feed this beast 7 maidens from the kingdom a day. But obviously they're running out of women.
What a silly idea.
Anyway, there was this family with a son called Master Assipattle. And he was this lazy-ass son of this family. Anyway, then he was like, I'm going to kill this beast. And so he flipping rode out and set it on fire from the inside. Anyway, so I thought, right, I'm going to make that into a stained glass window. Because I thought, what would be a great idea for a stained glass? And it'd be like a myth and folklore of Scotland. So then I've drawn the beast going into a silhouette against the sun. And I'll obviously put the picture on the website, propercurious.com. And out of the stomach is rising 7 flames. And in the flames, I've drawn them into the bodies of the 7 maidens.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's like the spirit of their souls rising out of the beast. And then he's there in his little boat with his little torch.
You just need to colour it in, don't you?
Yeah, I know. And then I was thinking about, so I looked at all this sort of on Pinterest mad about how to make that enamelled or whatever. And I was like, ooh, but it was all looking a bit long-winded. You know what I'm like? I need it to be quick.
Just take a picture of that, put it into your tablet and then put the colour in digitally.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that. Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Just take the photo, load it up and then just plop all the colour in.
Plop it in. So... What did you do?
I did some art this time.
Yeah.
Which I was just messing about, really, because also nothing
because
was
why not?
really...
But obviously play is very important, isn't it?
It is. And I thought, and this is what I'm trying to get better at, because I am a perfectionist and I'm trying to
Yes.
rid myself. But this is
She
why
really is.
I really never finish anything. This is why, because
Or
I'm just
never
like,
like just do anything because you just think it needs to be perfect or nothing.
yeah, we work in very different ways, I think, creatively wise, don't we, Rach?
Oh yeah.
So I thought, right, I'd like to do like a stained glass window with a twist. And then I just saw this picture of Dylan at like, we went to a music festival actually in Preston at the Ferret pub, and he came with us, and it was really cool actually.
Oh.
There's a picture of him reading a comic there, and I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to make that into a stained glass window. I just sort of like did it in like the typical arch shape with really vibrant colours. He helped me pick some of the colours and stuff. And I realised that I've put in like, he looks like he's sat in flames, but that was to reference the flame being like knowledge and stuff like that.
Yeah, because what did you call it at the bottom? You called
the
it
rising sun. As in
SON.
SON.
Oh,
Play
fun,
on
what
words.
fun. Yeah, but that's really good. Do you know what I like about it? It's like it looks like a comic style. And it obviously references in the episode when we were talking about
the cartoons, yeah.
The cartoons and the guy coming from the graphic background and stuff. And I liked that you were being playful and that it was like a comedy take, but also the really bold style.
Yeah, he's also got like a halo around his head because I thought that was just fun. Like the enlightened child. And also because I mean, this is probably making something deep out of something that isn't that deep. But I just kind of like the idea of like that, you know, the stained glass windows was like people from the Bible and whatnot. And I just thought, actually, we've got a lot to learn from children. And that was always something that I carried with me in my like teaching. So I thought, well, I'll put him up there. He deserves to be in a stained glass window. And then there's all the elements around. There's also like a UFO with a beam up there. And then I've put some pagan symbols in there too, just, you know.
Yeah, good. Chuck it all in.
Chuck it all in. And it's just really colourful. And at first I was like, this is ridiculous. But I like it now. And also,
I really like it.
It's good to play around and do different. I've never done anything that style before.
I think I actually want a print of it.
I'll put it on the website. I'm drinking sherry. Look, I'm drinking sherry.
No way, I'm so jealous.
Well, I was wanting wine or beer.
Me and Liana secretly love sherry.
Sherry on a Sunday.
But it's not secret now, is it?
I just plopped some in a glass. It's quite low, actually.
Plopped?
Well, I've had quite.
What are you plopping everything? I'm just going to plop some sherry in there.
It's like the cheapest sherry as well.
So the topic for this episode is called In Memoriam, because obviously from the last episode we talked hugely about church buildings, and obviously Liana was really referencing the memorial windows. And then when we were thinking about, we were going to move on to ghosts, which we definitely are going to do. Yeah. But then we were like, what happened? I think I creeped myself out, did I not? Because it was around Halloween and I thought I was going to get haunted.
And then we were like, actually, there was quite a lot of talk about memorials within that. So obviously the topic today deals with memorials and commemorating individuals who've passed away. So I guess it's just a bit of a content warning because our journeys took on us on some kind of weird and wonderful places, but also quite some gruesome things. So
yeah, it's going to probably include death and body parts and quite tragic aspects of death in history. So if you're not willing to hear about that, then join us next week.
Well, next month.
Next episode. But yeah. Just a wee warning there.
Just a little warning.
We thought we'd call it in memoriam, which just means in Latin, in memory of. So we were just thinking about, and we never know what each other has done. So I don't know what Liana's going to talk about. She doesn't have a clue what I'm going to talk about.
I think you should start.
Well, let me dip into my... Now, I have got a notebook
Rach did just a little like hand thing, like, well, let me dip into my notes of magic
just go to my cold room and summon... No, sorry, that's getting too weird now. Yes, so my initial thoughts were of the graveyards around me, and I am in Edinburgh. So... It is an absolute epicenter of memorials and various monuments. I mean, there's a Scott monument. There's monuments galore. But I thought, do you know what? There's so much out there already about all of that.
Yeah.
It's not like,
Do something niche.
yeah, I'll just do something weirder.
Hmm.
So I have tried to stay with things that have prompted me from Edinburgh, but it's not specifically that. So I'm going to go through it as a journey because I feel like that's the only way that this makes sense. Um,
Okay.
then when I thought past the stone memorials, I was just thinking of like even weirder ways that people are remembered.
Yeah.
So the start of my journey was
Hmm.
I went into the National Portrait Gallery
Okay.
on Queen Street, which is quite in the centre of town now. It's a gorgeous Gothic neo-Gothic building. It had the Christmas tree set up with like picture frames in it. When I went in, it was
Oh.
beautiful. But I was thinking, right, what am I going to find? I don't know. And anyway, I forgot that it had a library in it.
Ah.
And in the library, there was a specific section of death masks. And then I pulled out a drawer and it was eye jewelry.
What?
So I'm going to talk to you initially about death masks very briefly. So there was two cabinets in there with about 8 faces on each side of each cabinet. So that's 4 times 8. What's that? I don't know.
32.
Oh wow. Well, there was some very famous people in there. There was Felix Mendelssohn, the composer, who
Wow.
had actually, if you look this up, National Portrait Gallery, and then put in his name, Felix Mendelssohn, he is very gentle face and he's really smiley. I think that was from Life. So I thought it was interesting that like these masks were taken while the people were alive and some were taken while they were dead. And that's like a way that we have of remembering them. And
Oh
it's just
yeah.
so interesting to me that
It's creepy.
we want like the curve of the cheek, the softness of their eyelids, and you can see like the hairs
Oh.
on them, everything, you know? Also in there was John Keats, who I didn't
Yeah, I've
realize
just
that he
seen that
died
one.
quite young. He had quite a feminine face,
He's
actually.
got like really good cheekbones.
Yeah. So anyway, on the underneath the first cabinet under Felix Mendelssohn was a drawer. In that drawer was a locket
Ooh.
and a ring and a little mounted brooch of, and I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but they're like usually gold with a ceramic portrait of somebody's eye in it. Not their real eye,
Oh right.
a
Okay.
drawing
Okay.
on
Okay.
porcelain of their eye.
Okay. No, I've never seen
So,
that.
and it's eye jewelry. And it's often
Eye
referred to as a lover's
jewelry.
eye.
A lover's
Lover's eye.
eye.
Yeah. And the
Wow.
lover's eye miniatures
I'm just gonna
came
Google.
from the late 18th century, but the one that was in that cabinet was the locket and hair of Prince Charlotte, who was the only daughter of George and Caroline, who died after childbirth after a 50-hour labour. Then she had a stillborn son,
Oh,
sadly,
so
and then she died 5 hours later. So her eye is in a locket. And now the ones of people that are dead, because obviously you can get eyes of people that is your lover that are alive. Yeah, and usually it's illicit love affairs, and that's why it's just the eyes, because nobody will know who it is. So it's like,
scandal.
my lover's eye. And actually, do you know the interesting history about this when I looked it up? So that one that I saw was Princess Charlotte,
Hmm.
but her dad, George IV, started that when he actually really, really fancied this woman called Maria Fitzherbert, who was 6 years older than him, a Roman Catholic and a widow, and it was socially unacceptable for him to marry her. But he did marry her, but it
Oh.
wasn't like legally recognised. Anyway, he got himself in all sorts of a state, and he was quite a wild guy, apparently. He was then forced to marry his cousin,
Oh,
um,
golly.
Caroline of Brunswick, who then they obviously had as their only daughter, Princess Charlotte. Isn't it weird that her dad started the trend of that locket
Yeah.
having Maria Fitzherbert's eye? He actually gave Maria Fitzherbert a picture of his eye. Then after they'd got, legally married, she had one painted for him, so they had each other's. But with the Princess Charlotte ones, the one that died in childbirth, she had her hair was around that as well, and that's really, really, really unusual.
Mm.
Usually the ones of people that have died, there'll be like clouds in front of the eye. If you ever see the
Oh,
jewelry, you'll be able to tell it
really? I
apart
couldn't
now.
find the
So
pictures.
there's
Mm.
ones with like, it's like they're in heaven. That's what it's supposed to be like.
Ah,
Or
right,
they'll have
okay.
a little pearl as a teardrop, which means they've died.
Oh.
And usually they're set with the hair of the person behind it.
I've never ever heard of that, and I'm really, really intrigued about that.
Yeah, and they're
I feel
actually
like
beautiful. They're
that's
stunning
fueling some creativity
creativity.
already.
And that led me on then to thinking about hair jewelry.
Yes.
So the hair jewelry, I looked at, just like, I mean, it's fairly straightforward. It's hair. And you can have it woven into different shapes.
But it's
There's
really
ones where
elaborate
it's
though, isn't
woven
it?
into like into actual pictures of like memorial stones
And
and stuff. That was pretty
so
weird.
clever, isn't it?
And there was ones like that are quite amazing actually, but I find it quite weird. Massive actual bows that are brooches made out of just hair coiled
Hmm.
into like a spring shape,
Yeah.
which is amazing how that has not disintegrated. But
Victorian hair jewelry, isn't it? It was,
hair jewelry, yeah. So then
oh,
it led me on to, obviously I was like, oh, I'll look up this hair jewelry. What on the earth interesting hair jewelry can I find?
mm.
And so I Googled that, and there I found the 26 rings of Jeremy Bentham.
Oh,
Now, Jeremy Bentham, I just went on to the Art of Mourning website. This is where I found this.
okay.
And it said it was auctioned on the 24th of March 2024 at Fellows Auctions. It's a silhouette under glass on the front, and the back is oval, and there's a glass with woven hair, which was intact on this one ring they were selling. And it was part of a set of 26 rings that had been made in his lifetime. So off I trotted to find out what on the earth was
And
he doing
also,
with these 26 rings.
who is he? Just a
Well,
person.
we will
Well,
get on to this.
okay.
So, the 26 rings he had made in his lifetime, because I thought, what a strange thing to do
Yeah.
in your life. Just like, yes, I'm going to cut all these bits of hair off now and then put them into rings and I'll
Okay.
engrave them, because he engraved them with like who they were actually for. Anyway, so one of the people that were listed, now wait for this name, I'm going to try and pronounce,
Oh God.
left one of the rings to Marie Joseph Paul Yves Roch Gilbert du Montier Marcus de Lafayette. And that, I was like,
Marquess of
so
Lafayette.
there was no explanation of who this guy was on this website, because it was just literally like a jewelry listing and like a massive picture of the ring.
Was
So
that
I was like,
is that a
who on
man?
earth
Yeah.
who on earth has a name like that?
Mm.
So I went and Googled that, and it is a man. And this particular French military officer with the really long name was all for the abolition of the slave trade and for religious toleration, which is all that's good. So I was like, interesting. Who is this Jeremy Bentham?
Hmm.
So Jeremy Bentham, he was a philosopher, thinker, and writer, and he had quite radical ideas that were out of step for his age. Right? He was all into equal rights and gender equality, supported the suffragettes.
Amazing.
He was a rationalist and a utilitarian, basically thought morality should be based on the greatest happiness for people.
Hmm.
He supported the decriminalisation of homosexuality,
Hmm.
supported animal rights, wanted to abolish slavery, was a critic of Britain's imperialist expansion. He wanted to get rid of capital punishment, and he wrote a theoretical system for reforming the penal systems.
Wow.
Yeah, he was just like
Progressive.
an absolute inspiring guy,
Yeah. Wow.
actually. And then I was like, off I went on a Google rabbit hole. Turns out, in a beautiful twist of fate,
Hmm.
he is referred to often as the taxidermied philosopher. So, in the University College London, which he had links with, he can still be seen
Oh my goodness me.
in the foyer. Yes, look him up right now. In pursuit of the reform on the law on anatomy and dissection in England, he wished to leave his body to be dissected and afterwards preserved
Oh.
to form what he called an auto-icon,
Right. Okay. What does
right?
that mean?
So he gave instructions in his will to Dr. Southwood Smith, who was to give a lecture and public dissection on him and then
Right.
preserve his organs, which could be looked at for later study. So he asked for his body to be sat in a suit with his walking stick which he had named Dapple,
Oh, I
okay,
love him.
and asked to be in the pose of himself deep in thought, sat on the chair that he usually sat on
Oh.
in his study, and his skeleton is like wired together in a suit, stuffed with straw and hay to fill it out, and his head was supposed to be on the top of this. However, when his head was preserved, it did not look great. So Dr. Southwood, in his wisdom, decided to give him a better head made of wax or whatever it's made out of.
Okay, because I was going to say I'm looking at the picture now and I'm like,
Yeah, he just looks fine. He doesn't look like a creepy body.
is his head somewhere then?
So his head is there, yeah. So originally his head was put inside of his chest cavity.
Oh,
Yes, but in the 1930s or 40s, they took the body out for cleaning and preserving, and it was placed between his feet for a bit. And then they have taken it out and put it
oh,
elsewhere.
Jeremy.
But Jeremy Bentham was inspired to have his head preserved, particularly after he had seen the Mokai, which is a Maori practice, because he'd seen Captain Cook's botanist came back from New Zealand. He had a Mokai, which is a Maori preserved head. And they
It's
usually
not
have
great,
the
is it?
amazing. It is great because it's a tradition of their culture. So the Tomoko tattooing, that's the tattoo art
No,
that
I
the
meant that,
Maori men.
he had it.
No, he didn't have. Oh, the botanist did have it. They traded
Yeah,
it.
that
But now
that's what
there's
I
a big
mean.
push to get them all back.
Yeah, I
So
was going to
hope
say, so it needs to go
people
back to
are
where it's
giving
from
them
because,
back. Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
that's what I meant.
And these heads are like really preserved, and it's amazing. You can see the tattoo of face detail really well. Anyway, so he was inspired by that to have his head preserved. Great. And after he died and this auto icon was made, it was then in Dr. Southwood Smith, the guy who did his dissection and lecture. It was in his house for 20 years.
Oh my goodness.
And while it was in his house, Charles Dickens visited it because he was one of Dr. Southwood's friends.
Oh,
And then it was given to University College London, where it
okay.
is now. And I just thought, and if you look him up now, so he was originally in a like kind of wardrobe cupboard, but now he's in a glass case in the foyer, literally when you go in the front doors to
Just
UCL.
like, oh yeah,
Yeah, he's there.
oh yeah, you're right.
Sat there
Look,
like, hello.
looks like a nice guy
Aha. And I think it's what a way to remember someone.
who
Not
was so
only
amazing as well.
his like convictions were very
Spot
ahead of his
on.
time, but also what a journey from the 26 Rings of Jeremy Bentham. I then was just thinking about different body parts as a memorial specifically. When I was in Italy, I saw so many great and weird things. There's in Lucca again, there's a great museum attached to the cathedral there that has lots of relics and things in it. And often these like relics weren't actually the actual saint. They were like just bits of whatever, you know?
Bits of
And
whoever.
it's just amazing, like people were believing that they were protective charms or like brought you closer to the divine, basically. And it's just interesting the connection of being something being quite tangible, linking to that person, you know? So from there, I went on to where I've been today is Surgeons Hall in Edinburgh. So I'm sure you've heard of Burke and Hare, the body snatchers. They basically started murdering people in the grass market in Edinburgh and selling them to Dr. Knox, who was a surgeon at Surgeons Hall, the museum that I was going to, which used to be the Anatomy University Teaching Centre. It still is. Anyway, so Burke was obviously executed and dissected, like many of his victims, ironically, and his skin was then made into a notebook, which is in Surgeons Hall.
What? Why?
Well, it's obviously like a grim reminder, a chilling warning against crime, and like people had a grim fascination with death, didn't they? And obviously,
I guess
like,
still do in a way, don't we? Like horror
yeah,
films and
I mean,
stuff.
here we are.
Talking about
We're
death.
talking about it right
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
because we're fascinated in a grim way. Um,
Cool.
and there's also a chest piece of skin from a sailor, must have been from the 1800s, and it's a ship and two swallows and two snakes that are around the ship. You can't take pictures in there, but you can look it up on their archives on the Surgeons Hall Museum. So I just thought that was so interesting as like parts of that body they've been saved. You know, it
Mm.
was like such a cultural curiosity and tattoos in themselves. And then my final part was from there was some leg skin. It's like a pair of legs preserved in a picture case from a French soldier who died in Breda in Holland in 1793, and the
Oh,
skin was kept and tanned by a local as like a trophy from that war,
oh,
um, which is awful. Um,
that's so
but
weird.
it's just so interesting, isn't it? That like in a weird way, that's outlived everybody.
Yeah, I guess it's a
You
way of
know?
keeping it's one of these things, isn't it? Because originally when you think in memoriam, you kind of thoughts, like you said, automatically go to like gravestones, memorials, markers of
Yeah.
people that were good and need to be remembered, or people that we loved. But actually there's, and
Hmm.
this is what some of my stuff centers around, is actually remembering events or people who weren't great.
Yeah. It just really fascinated me how like the Victorian rings, the philosopher's body, the saint's relics, the
Mm,
pocketbooks, the skin. It's all attempts to like hold on to that like person,
like as physical body.
their like presence, their like
Mm,
being, both because we want to be close to them or because of like some like macabre sort of fascination with who they were, especially before photography, I think, and before
mm,
film, how
hmm.
that was such like an actual connection to that person. Because obviously the eye portraits and the hair and everything like that was before photography, before film.
Mm,
So you didn't have anything left of them. As similarly the death masks, you know,
yeah,
like we can see people now, but you couldn't before. And so that was ways of holding on to that presence of that person.
yeah.
I just thought it was so poignant and so interesting, and how much it holds a fascination for us now, but how that will have changed since photography and
Mm.
film.
That's totally
Mm.
true. Like now we'd be like, oh, well, we can remember people very easily because we can watch
Yeah, and just
videos
watch
of
this
them
video,
or
yeah.
see many, many pictures of
Oh,
that
we take it for granted
person.
how much we can like
Yeah,
see. Oh,
yeah,
there's mum. There's her
yeah,
mannerisms.
yeah.
There's a laugh. I
Oh
can hear
gosh.
her. You know,
But also I think it's, digital stuff can so easily be lost. I think it's always nice to have
physical
some
things.
physical things as well to remember that person
And there's
by.
quite like an art as well,
Mm,
because it's like who commissioned those pieces and why and what did they come with and the
mm.
letters with it. You know, I don't know. It's more beautiful, isn't it? Really? Yeah.
Well, that was absolutely fascinating, Rach. Yeah, I okay. So with me, my thoughts did automatically go to gravestones
Yes.
in particular. And I was thinking, right, interesting graves of people in Cumbria, or like symbols on graves that are unique and interesting and rare, or, what do they actually mean? And then I got onto this whole story about this person or supposed wizard of Cumberland, right? Who was called
Right.
William Little, Little Willie, William Little. And that was it. I was reading that he was a local healer. He'd apparently warded off this like satanic black hound in the village.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, and I
This
was
is
like, this
sounding
sounds
epic.
great. And I was like, this is amazing. And it was like associated with a place called Great Orton, which really isn't far from me.
Yeah.
So I went to this place, St. Giles Church in Great Orton, where this supposed grave of this person was. And I was fascinated. This church was founded in like 10, 1098. So it's a Norman church, right?
No way.
And apparently locals like leave little trinkets, coins and things on this person's grave. And I was like, yeah, this is amazing. This will be great. Because I was really intrigued by that idea of us leaving trinkets and things at people's graves.
Yeah.
And I got there and I had my cup of tea and my flask. I had to use the findagrave.com website in the end. Basically, found his grave. It was very grand. There was nothing on it. And I took a token as well. I took a shell to put on his grave. And
Oh.
and actually, it was a massive fail because I couldn't find my original research. And I was like, where have I got this from?
Oh, you're gonna have it like find it, aren't you,
So
at some
basically,
point?
it was a fail. And then I realised that apparently the Wizard of Cumberland can refer to many different folkloric stories associated with different
Got it.
vague people, like Merlin, for example. And I was like, this has
Oh,
gone
no
wrong. Gone wrong
way.
here. But I did find a pagan spiral carved into the wall in the church on the inside. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, the trinkets thing, it just reminded me of like Sylvia Plath's grave in Heptonstall, where
Hmm.
like people really leave all sorts of trinkets and things on her
Mm-hmm.
grave. People leave pens stuck into the ground in front of her grave,
Hmm.
coins, rocks. I've seen like flowers, I've seen shells, all sorts of just like little things. And it made me think about that episode, we did the ancient stones, the first one, and we were leaving our little kind of markers on like the prehistoric sites. So like we both left shells, didn't we? And I was like, oh. So I just thought that was interesting in a way of like that would make you like the stained glass windows, you noticed something and then you looked into the story behind that person. I think if you were out in the wild of the graveyards and you see these trinkets, you'd be like, oh, why is this
Yeah,
person?
like what's that about?
But it's another way of keeping their memory alive, and I like how like that's a changing thing. So every time you visit like Sylvia Plath's grave, it's different every time because people have left different
Yeah.
things.
There's a really famous graveyard in France, isn't there? Paris, that has lots of writers and artists in there, and it's really fascinating what gets left around there. And
Yeah.
people really travel to go
Yeah, like
to pay
pilgrimages.
their respects. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is
So
beautiful.
that was my first kind of part, but it was a bit of a fail really because I feel like I was misled by the internet.
Oh, I'm misled by the internet.
Yeah, I was.
But there's something in that creatively, isn't there? What's left on graves.
There
That's
is.
sparking off ideas for me.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I did see, I had like a list as well. I'd sort of made myself compiled a little, what do you call it? Like a trail, like a checklist of like different grave,
Oh, she loves the checklist.
different grave carvings to like tick off my list. I've spotted in the wild. So I have so far,
I spy graves. You remember that book series?
yeah, they're still going. I basically have visited 4 different graveyards in the last
Yeah.
2 weeks. Spotting
Who's
graves.
this woman? I know I was in the, sorry, I'm butting in now, but I was in Surgeons Hall today and I literally turned up at like 3:30, it closed at 5. The woman was like, she's like, I recommend you go to 4-3 first. And I was like, nope. And we're dashing around just trying to look for Burke's skin. I was like, I just want to find Burke's skin, not, but that's what I need. And I couldn't even flipping find it, but never mind.
Oh, I'm sure you'll find it at some point in your life. So
It
yeah,
wasn't that.
so I found some clasped hands on the
Yes.
grave, which
And what does that
apparently,
mean?
well, do you know what you kind of think, oh, it's sweet, it's like because of love and stuff, but it symbolizes being reunited with a loved one, and often it says look at the sleeve cuffs because often that will tell you the gender and the social rank of the people in question. So I was like, oh, I didn't know that. So little
So socially
snippets of
ranked, isn't it?
so basically, I did. I went on this and I ticked quite a lot off my like graveyard I spy. Um, so
I'd quite
I'll
like
tell
to
you where
see
I went
that.
to. I went to 2 Norman churches. So this
Yeah.
is a bit of a segue. But
Two Norman
if you are
churches
ever in
sound
Cumbria,
good.
please everyone go to St. Peter's Church in Kirkbampton because that was another Norman church founded in 1194, and this one is very much still very Norman.
No.
The archway to the chancel is Norman. It's really carved with some beautiful diamond shapes. It's also got a green man carved into the left-hand side
Yes,
of
we
the
love that.
arch. And also,
Oh,
weirdly, in St. Peter's Church in Kirkbampton, the stained glass windows in the east are designed by Sir Edward Burne-Jones and made in the William Morris factory. And I was like, he's everywhere.
oh, no
So
way.
I just
See,
thought,
this
what a
is what
direct
happens, isn't it?
link. Yeah.
As soon as you start looking it up, you find more and more.
And in the churchyard there, because obviously it's so old, you've got an
Yeah.
array of different like gravestones. I found like a really weird one, right? Which was a stack of books with like a scroll on the top with like Latin writing on it. But then there was just like a face, like a jolly little smiley face peeking through. I was
Hello.
like,
I love
oh, yeah.
books.
I found a very, very old cross, actually definitely pre-Victorian,
So
definitely
what was the
pre.
books in the face about?
I don't know, couldn't find it.
And I didn't look into that at all because I
Do you
was
know
not curious.
Oh, well, I just couldn't find what that means. Obviously, knowledge.
She's just made that up.
Made
Made that up right now. I'm smiling. I'm putting my little face here because I love knowledge.
The other 2 churches that I visited, I wanted to visit some churches near the borders.
Yeah.
There was St. Michael's in Arthurette.
Markles?
Arthur, St Michael's in Arthur near Longtown, and St Andrew's Church, which is in Kirk Andrews on Esk. And within all of these different places, I found the clasped hands quite a lot, the markers of people's professions and things like that. I also
Yeah.
found some tombstones with a mortality toolkit on,
Oh,
which I didn't know was a
love a
thing.
toolkit.
So,
Oh,
like a torch, an
yeah.
hourglass, skull and crossbones, some wings, a face, maybe like a winged skull, which apparently a winged skull is like a 16th century like Puritan vibe.
Oh,
And I thought
right.
that was interesting because I didn't know
Isn't
that.
this all related though to like how like death comes swiftly and we must think about our mortality and
Yeah,
it's all
some of it, but
reminders of that.
they're just, yeah,
Time is running
symbols,
out.
aren't they?
That's the sand going through the
Yeah, time is
time.
running out. Coats of arms I found. And then also, I'd read somewhere that to find a heart on pre-Victorian, like as in like 17th century gravestone, is quite rare. And I managed to find one
Oh,
in the Longtown Church. And apparently hearts, where they're in Scotland, and Longtown is just
yeah.
obviously on the border, it's in England, but um, it's apparently used for covenanters. So supporters of the Presbyterian Church of
Ah,
Scotland. And
very
then
interesting. It's
I
like totally reading them, isn't it?
And then also the last one that I found was a broken column, which I've seen in graveyards before and thought,
Yes.
oh, it's fallen apart. No, they were put there like that because that
Yes.
represents a life cut short. So yeah, so loads of
Oh,
different
that's silly.
stuff. Took Dylan with me on a couple of the trips, and the one we went on today, it was starting to get a bit dark. So Dylan was like, "Mummy, can we go now?" And I was like, "Just let me look at this. I don't got a torch out.
I've got
I think I can see a skull and some wings." I kind of was like interested in that, and I thought that was really nice because now I'll have a bit of a better understanding of what I'm looking at when I go to graveyards because it's a common occurrence. But I was really wanting to visit some border churches because I
yeah.
wanted to find some graves of infamous border reavers.
So what is a border reaver?
Border reavers were groups of families who lived along the Anglo-Scottish border.
Yeah.
And this border reaver era started from like the late 13th century and it ended sort of at the beginning of the 17th century. So it was when it was like this debatable lands, like no
Yeah.
one really wanted to rule these areas. It was like on the
Where's the
border of,
border going to
like,
be drawn
oh,
at?
so
Yeah.
it was described as lawless, but actually the border reavers did have their own sort of weird laws within it. I mean, it's absolutely
Yeah.
fascinating, but it's very specific to
Like gang law.
area. It was basically gangs. Yeah, very violent. They stole cattle, murdered people, ambushed people, stole things, they stole things back. They stole church bells. I mean, it was just like
Yeah.
lots of feuding, lots of violence, lots of murder. So I was like, right, I want to find some graves of some of these famous border reavers, and I wonder what those graves would look like, what symbols will be on those graves. And interestingly, I did not find too many interesting ones, but I did.
What's this, the fourth fail?
So basically, then I realised, oh, maybe I'm not finding them because a lot of the border reaver graves were specifically left plain or lightly inscribed so as not to provoke
Flag it up.
a revenge attack.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, and so I mean,
Yeah.
lots of border reavers were like arrested and
Oh
hanged
yeah, because they would have like
or
taken
ambushed
the
and
body or
murdered. Or there's a few stories that I'm going to mention because I think they have really interesting slants on them. So there's this one called the Headless Horseman grave at Canonby, but it's linked to a border reaver known as Willie Redcloak Armstrong.
Willie Redcloak Armstrong.
Yeah, so he was decapitated during a feud, and it's said that his ghost rides headless through the parish. But his grave has an unusually large, like horizontal slab, which is said to be placed to pin down his restless spirit, so that he does not rise.
Oh, what, intentionally?
Yeah, and then
placed
when I
like
was
that?
in the churchyard at Kirk Andrews on Esk, there was also a grave with it horizontally slanty, and I was like, oh, is it the same? But I think I was just it probably just fallen over.
That's so weird.
Yeah. And
Do you
then
know, there was so much, it's like all the traditions about like, because obviously I segued into many streams
well,
on
me
this,
this
but
is what I've tried.
they're like covering mirrors and all that.
Oh goodness
We
me.
need to do one on like death rituals because there was so much.
Yeah, there was so
I won't even
much.
go into it, there's so much. Yeah.
So then another Armstrong. So this one is near Newcastleton on the Scottish borders, and this is in the grave is in Castleton Kirkyard. So apparently Hermitage Castle was home to some of the darkest events in border history. And Alexander Armstrong, who was murdered in the early 1600s, apparently the people who killed him were never caught or punished. They got away with it. So the family carved like a sword on his grave to show that it was death by violence. And there was a few stories around this where families were carving things specifically on graves to allude to either like wrongful convictions or to allude to that they were maybe murdered by poison and things like that. Just like
Oh, interesting.
how like families would use their grave markers to like
a coded
have their
revenge.
say. Yeah. And there was one grave that I read about. That was a really sad one actually, where someone had been accused of stealing sheep and hung, and then 3 weeks later, the real thief came forward and was like, "It was me."
Oh no.
And the family
way,
had
that's
put on the
awful.
gravestone of that person wrongfully accused.
Yeah, wrongfully accused.
Yeah, how sad is that?
That is really sad.
And then the really interesting one that unfortunately you can't visit because it's an unmarked grave was a border reaver who is another Armstrong, actually. Apparently, he was really feared, like a particularly infamous outlaw, and he was buried in an unmarked grave, and he was buried face down so that he could dig straight his way to hell.
Yeah. That's awful, isn't it?
That's so disrespectful in a way, isn't it?
That's been a tradition.
But this
they
sort of
find- yeah.
idea of like this fear of people even when they're dead and having to do a specific ritual to sort of manage that.
Well, how much they believe the soul escaped. I mean, it's all wrapped up in that, isn't it?
Yeah. But this fear of the dead rising.
Like, even on the coffin in the corpse roads, like not putting it down in case the soul
Yeah.
like wandered off.
Ooh. So then I was really fascinated by this whole sort of fear of the dead and ways that, you know, they're marked or not marked or buried in particular ways. And I read about this vampire burial, which is at Whithorn. Apparently archaeologists found a medieval burial there where stones had been placed over the neck and legs of this
No way.
person, which is a known anti-vampire or anti-revenant burial technique. So one of Scotland's clearest fear of the dead rising burials. And I just thought that's so interesting, isn't
wonder
it?
who that person was, though.
So then in my Border Reaver reading, though, I did read a really interesting story about Lanercost Priory. And the reason I'm including this is because there was a weird request of what King Edward I, how he wanted his body dealt with upon his death. So basically, his link to Lanercost was him and his Queen Eleanor. When they were launching attacks on Scotland and stuff, they made like Lanercost Priory their base, so the monks had to like feed them, and apparently the monks really didn't like it because it was expensive and it was just, you know, awful. And King Edward was very, very violent as well. Like, he ordered that 2 of the sons of his enemy be hung, drawn and quartered and their heads brought to him at the priory, and just awful, awful stuff. And he asked his son, Prince Edward, he said, "When I die, I want you to boil my body, and I want you to place my bones in a chest and carry it at the front of every battle. And then he said, also, I want you to put my heart in a casket, take it to the Holy Land and bury it there."
Oh, just an
really,
easy action.
Just Prince Edward, this is what you got to do when I'm dying.
That's so weird.
Prince Edward ignored his request.
Also,
did not do
like,
that.
how inefficient, like, you're in battle.
And it's just like, oh, wait, just get the bones out.
Just a minute, hang on. We'll just, like, stumble along with this chest.
Because a part of me was like, how normal is this? And actually, that was apparently quite a normal practice at that time for, especially if people died far away from home. If, like, royalty or wealthy people died away from home, they would boil the body away, keep the bones, and keep the heart, and then travel it back. Grim, that, innit?
Yeah.
Thinking about hearts, anyway, I remember the story of Sweetheart Abbey, which is also in Dumfries and Galloway, and Lady, check this out for a name, Lady Devogilla. Devogilla. Yeah, so she was the one who basically founded Sweetheart Abbey.
What a nice name.
Yeah, it was called New Abbey initially, and then the monks later renamed it Sweetheart Abbey after what she did with her husband's heart. So basically, she was married, right, check this out. She was born in 1210. She lived till 1290. So she lived to 80 years old. But she was,
Whoa, that's ages for that
yeah,
time.
for that time, yeah. So she married John Balliol, and she was 13 when she married John. He was
Oh,
18. Remember, that was just common practice, wasn't it, at the time?
yeah.
So they were married for a very long time, and she must have loved him, right? Because when he died, she had his heart removed, embalmed, and she carried it around with her wherever she went in an ivory casket. Yeah.
Imagine that.
Carrying his heart around with loads of like spices as well
What's
to
that
like make it
smell? Yeah, to like
smell
make it smell
nicer.
not grim.
22 years she was carrying this box around for. And when she died, she got the monks to put his heart in the casket next to hers in the abbey. And then I was thinking, was that like normal though for the time for that to happen? And apparently it was for like wealthy people. Like nobility would have different parts of themselves removed
But where was the
and
rest of
buried
his
in different
body?
places. I actually don't know. I didn't read that.
Because, like,
No, I think he had a grave. Yeah, so apparently in the 12th century, members of the English and French aristocracy frequently had their hearts buried separately from them. So they would
oh,
request that the heart would be buried somewhere that was meaningful to them.
oh, right, okay.
Because apparently the heart was viewed as the seat of the soul, so the core of one's being and love.
Yeah,
I thought that's sweet. But then I was
like
like,
your soul.
is that where they're saying like you have my heart? I'd give you my heart comes from? Like literally, I'd give you my heart.
Yeah.
But I did Google that and it was like, no,
Oh,
that's not
yeah,
it. But I was like, well,
maybe.
maybe it does because you literally have given someone like your heart.
Have my soul,
I could
the
carry it around
seat of
with you
my emotions.
in an ivory casket.
And we still give love hearts.
Yeah,
Mm,
it
it's
is.
quite a grim spin, that.
So yeah, I just was fascinated by that. I mean, she was a really fascinating woman actually. So I do go and read more about her if you're interested. But just Lady Devagilla. And then basically I did a segue and I'm wrapping it up because really quickly the segue that I had then was I was just like reading all sorts about like medieval practices and embalming, and then I was like reading about like the Tudors embalming people's bodies, and then I read about Queen Elizabeth I, how I mean her death was just like apparently she was like in her late 60s when she died, but she like refused to be washed, she refused to eat like before in the weeks before she died. She
Oh,
refused to sit down, so she basically
what?
stood up the whole time before she finally collapsed onto cushions on the floor that are like maid servants had put on the floor because they were like she's gonna like just fall over. And she did.
Gonna cop
She
it.
fell over and eventually like lost the power of
Oh,
speech.
no.
And then she like no one wanted to move her for ages. And they eventually like got her into the bed, but like no one did anything with her for ages, so they couldn't embalm her, right? I don't know how credible this all is. You may have to check my sources, but apparently, because she was famous for wearing like really white lead-filled makeup. Apparently,
Oh, yeah.
by the time she died, she had an inch layer of makeup on her face.
What? So she was still someone was still
Someone,
reapplying
yeah,
it.
well, she was really vain, wasn't she? Or apparently. Anyway, so an effigy was made of her,
Yes.
a wax effigy, which they placed on top of the coffin and processed through the town.
Well, I have seen a copy of that. It's in the National Museum in Edinburgh.
Oh, a copy of
I
it,
was
is
literally
it?
walking around
Oh,
it
well,
this
they're all
week.
in, yeah, well, they're all in Westminster Abbey now, apparently.
Yeah,
And
it's a
there's a
copy from the
collection of
one.
them. And if you Google wax effigies of the Tudor family in Westminster Abbey, there's a few of them, and there's like a couple of kids as well. And it's just like really creepy. They look like just weird big dolls.
Gosh, that's so weird, isn't
Isn't
it?
it strange, though? Like
I suppose this
massive.
might be the thing, but not having the pictures of people.
But then I guess this is what Madame Tussauds is, really, isn't it? A lot of the people that are made in wax there are dead now.
Yeah, is there effigies? Uh-huh.
And still people do that now, don't they?
Yeah,
You know how you like get casts of hands and feet and things?
that's true.
And then Mark was like, and then there was that woman who in the 70s who did the plaster cast penises. And I was like, what? I was like, where was this? And so I researched it. It's a lady called Cynthia Plasticaster, was actually called Cynthia Albritton. She was born in 1947. But in the late 60s, she started her career after following bands around. She decided to just do plaster casts of famous people's penises. So she did Jimi Hendrix. She did someone from the Buzzcocks. She did someone from the Dead Kennedys. And then later on in her career, she did some breasts as well. And guess who she did? Peaches and Karen O from the Yeah Yeah Yeahs.
Great, but they're not dead.
Jimi Hendrix is though. But what
Yeah,
I mean,
but is
but
it on
they'll be like,
display?
well, I guess they're not dead, so it's not
Where
really
are they?
it's not really like a death thing, isn't it? But they will remain of those people
They will remain, yeah.
following their deaths.
Wow.
But I
Yeah.
always think that don't you not think though? Because I mean, it does sound like we always have a bit of a laugh, like, oh, it's morbid, Mummy and Dylan going for a walk in the graveyard again. I like walking past people's graves, saying their names, and just knowing that
Somebody's there.
someone's remembering that person. I don't know them, but I'm remembering
No.
them. And quite often we'll
And
just
also,
talk
it's
about
just people,
what we're seeing.
isn't it? It's not,
Yeah, and some modern
you
graves
know,
as well, like have like really unique things on them. Like there's one in the graveyard
recipes.
near Dylan's school that has like a drum kit on it, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh, because they really
And
love
there's that
drumming.
American woman, isn't there, that goes around graveyards in America, and has made a cookbook up of all the grave recipes that people put on their stones.
Yeah, graveyard recipes. That's so interesting.
Oh, I think that's beautiful. Anyway, should we wrap up?
Yeah, let's wrap up.
That was fascinating. I love that. And I'm going to really reflect on that. I think that will definitely lead me down some creative avenues.
Yeah, me too. I've actually started thinking of a song already, actually related to like the border reverie stuff.
And we've got an announcement since the last episode.
Have we?
We have now got an up and working Instagram
Oh,
account
yeah, we have.
with action on it that's been in works for a week. We've got 65 followers today.
Oh, it's lovely, isn't it? Not
It is lovely. We were aiming for 12, so
Yeah,
we're really
I think
happy.
we've hit our target of 12 listeners, right?
Yeah, we've hit our target of 12 listeners. That's great. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Someone's in Hong Kong and then someone unknown
Someone in
in
Australia. We don't know who that person is, but
A
that's
mystery
cool.
person is. If that's you, let us know because we were analysing
We
it.
were just like looking. Anyway, so
Anyway.
that was interesting. There's so much more, though, to be said about
So
all of
much
that
more.
topic, isn't there? Like, I think that's why I was so scatty with it because I was like, oh, information.
But I think that me too, clearly. And then I was like, I've got to tie this into some kind of order, but it doesn't. It's like just everything about people, bits of people. So yeah. If you want to share your artworks, you can do a hashtag Proper Curious Podcast. And we'll eventually find out how to put that on the website.
Like, tag us in it on Instagram.
If you ever want to do that, we would love it.
We would love
We'd be
it.
really excited about that. But yeah, so let's see where that leads us.
Yeah, that was really interesting. Right, okay, well, is that us then? Are we done?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel a bit sad.
So we'll catch up with you in the next one. So,
Okay.
yeah, join us for the next episode and get creative.
Of this
We'll
massive
see ya.
tangential podcast that we're on.
Forever.
Forever.
All right.
Right, see you later, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.